Hi everyone, welcome back to our podcast, Everything Product. This is Phani. I'm a product manager at Intuit, and I have with me Sidhu. I'll let him introduce.
Hey guys, this is Sid Saladi. So I work as a product manager for Best Buy. So for today, our topic is the Robinhood app. So we wanted to basically talk to you guys about what Robinhood is about. What's their mission, who are their target users, and what problems are they solving, and maybe we can get into user journey or the drawbacks of what the app is as we go. But before we get started, I would want to talk about the story of Robinhood came. So this is a story of two founders who were working in the finance markets, kind of figured out this is pretty complex, and it's not easy for the common user to navigate and go and buy stuff on online. So they came out and kind of created an app which basically makes it really easy for users to buy stocks and trade stocks. Also, it kind of removes the additional cost of the sale, which was kind of an industry standard before. So let's quickly deep dive into what Robinhood is, and how did it disrupt this industry.
That's nice.
So
Sidhu, actually, let's start with one thing. What is the mission of Robinhood?
Sure. Yeah. I would say the mission of Robinhood is to democratize finance for all. So I think the thought behind this is previously it was heavily driven by bigger institutions where you have to kind of have a brokerage account. You go in and fill in an big application, and then you talk to the brokers to kind of trade for you and all of that stuff. And this was not the cup of tea for a common man who wants to invest or trade things and all of that stuff. Robinhood came in simplifying all of that stuff, and also another entry barrier to entry for common man was the trading fees, which was I think $10 to $12 nominal, but and also normal people were not able to basically uh, uh, spend that money to do small trades and all of that stuff. But I would say this specific app kind of revolutionized all of that stuff by cutting the commissions to zero, and also making it really easy for the users to common man to target.
It's very interesting. Actually, we should also discuss about how do they make money. If the trading is zero, how do they make money?
Yeah, I think they have this. They work with secondary markets, I guess. So these companies kind of buy stocks in bulk at a lower price. So they give that to us, and they make money in the difference. So that's one revenue stream I know of, and that's how they are doing that zero commission trades. And the other way they do is they give you leverage margin trading, where you can get money, and they charge you interest. So that's another way of doing it. And also I guess they have this Robinhood Gold feature,
Yeah.
where it lets you to deposit instant money. You have extra trading hours, and also you have financial information which you pay like $5 a month or so. So I think these are different revenue streams which Robinhood has. So
Good to know.
one question. So I know that you also do a lot of trading and use a lot of different apps. So in your experience, how do you feel Robinhood is compared to the other apps, and what do you like and dislike about Robinhood?
Yeah, totally right. So, or to invest, I look at several different apps actually. Robinhood is one of them. I use the Cash App. Cash App is also very easy in terms of like doing the trades, getting different details about how the stocks are trading. And I sometimes use Stash a little bit. I think initially I was intrigued by all the offers that they gave, but I use Stash a little bit. And even from a crypto standpoint, right? Because Robinhood does both regular securities and cryptos as well. So even for cryptocurrencies, I use like several different apps, crypto.com or Coinbase, etc., etc. One thing I really like about Robinhood is I feel like it is a whole package in itself. Like, let's say I'm a newbie who wants to invest in stocks. I can come there and find the top stocks that I can invest in, which are the ones which are trading high, trading low, what are the top movers. And they'll also give details about what could have happened in the market that caused this stock to like go up and down. Many a times we don't understand that. And obviously the other thing that you mentioned, right, is $0 trading fee. Anyone who is a newbie who doesn't want to spend that fee, that I've heard this a lot as well. Anytime that we'll have to pay a fee, that's a big barrier for the customers. So since Robinhood eliminated that, a lot of people would come. They'll be like very happy to put very little money and then try it out.
Yeah, that really brings out an interesting piece, right? Who is the core user segment for Robinhood here? So I think these are common people or people who have less to spend but also want to invest, right? I'm assuming that's the core user group there, because when I have used previous finance products like E-Trade and all of that stuff, there's a lot of information there, right? Like it has graphs, a lot of different things which I don't use. So I think essentially Robinhood uh, kind of brought it to a point where it only has essential features for a common user to go in and invest. I think that's what I like, where all the clutter goes away, where you just look at a graph, see the information financials about the company, and then do a trade. And also the trades are free. So I think that it actually simplifies that and makes it easy for that user segment.
Nice. So I love that interesting thought. Let's talk about this as well, right? How do you like the aesthetics of Robinhood? Do you like using it? How much time do you spend on it? Can you talk more
Yeah,
about that?
sure. So I think they also have this gamifying component in Robinhood, where whenever I add money to a Robinhood app, right, it actually throws that golden confetti. It actually, I like that feel when it does that, right? So I haven't gotten any of that experience in other finance products I've used. And also, I think it's so easy to use or look
Actually,
up.
can you show me what are you talking about? I don't know how they gamify the product and stuff.
So we have to add money, right? So when you add money or add cash to your account, it actually kind of does that confetti, golden confetti thing,
Oh,
right?
okay,
So
okay, okay.
you want to do that more and more for that thing that comes up, right? So that's how I think they try to gamify it. And also, right, I think that's the one piece of the app which I like. And the next piece is, I think it basically helps you also get the news and also get very simplified information of what is important, right? It doesn't gives you loads and loads of information. It just gives you what you need, right? So that's 52-week highs or a recommendation from Morningstar, or how does the competitive landscape look like, and all of that information. So most of the time, whenever I invest, I look at all of these things and go in and invest, and it's much easier, right? It's at the tap of your hand, where you can actually go in and do all of this stuff.
Got it. Actually, let's talk a little bit more about this. Nowadays, I'm very intrigued by that as well. Um, Let me show you a quick thing probably. Let me share my screen. Um, I hope you're able to see my phone, right? So
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
know if you're familiar with this. So I use like a crazy amount of like crypto apps as well just to try it out. So for example, let's take crypto.com. Okay. Especially on the gamification aspect, I'm very intrigued by that. So if you see here, right, I follow some of the gainers, or like I have some trades, etc., etc. So recently I started seeing something called missions. Okay. So
Mhm.
for someone who is like early into it, who is very
Oh, yeah.
cautious about putting money, they give some missions. Okay. If you complete a mission, they give something to you called diamonds. Okay. You can use these
Oh, okay.
diamonds in order to buy something. Okay. It could be NFTs, or it could be some kind of mission boxes or something like that. This makes it more gamified. And let me talk about this also. Accounts. I don't know. You're really familiar, right? One of the things that brought me to use Acons is their gamification. So if you see here, they have milestones. So they start with something called a tiny acorn. They gamified it so nicely. So they start with tiny acorns, sprouts, seedlings, saplings, etc. I'm at oak tree right now. So it intrigues me to say, okay, I need to finish that milestone to grab something. So for example, they say that, okay, if you invest $1,000 into your account balance, you completed a milestone. If you do 10 roundups, etc., etc. So this makes me more intuitive about the product. This makes me more. Uh, this makes me use the app actually. So that's one of the very intriguing facts about Robinhood too. Yep.
Yeah, so I think that's a really, really interesting thing, Funny. So, irrespective of whatever the user they're catering to or the use cases, when you have this gamification piece, I think that actually pulls the user. So, even I'm a big fan of gamification because I think that actually helps that dopamine kick in for me whenever I get that extra badge or coupon. It helps me in fitness, it helps me in finance and all of that stuff. I think that's basically uh, digging into your human instincts of and making you sticky to that pattern and all of that stuff. So
Yep.
and also it's all of these are different apps which cater to different use cases, right? Accounts is actually automated investing, which it invests for yourself. Robinhood is where you go in and invest by yourself. And there's also Webull, I think, which caters towards specific crypto markets and crypto stuff. Coinbase does the same. And there's also an app called Webull. So that's more of social investing, where it shows you all the investments which other people did, and you can maybe do it based on that. So that's also another phenomena which is coming up in finance, where you look at bunch of tweets or flow and you invest based on that, and that's what caused the GameStop thing where the
Mhm.
stock went up and by 10x or 15x, right?
On the AMC and
AMC and
uh,
all of that stuff.
on that Havoc. Yep. True.
Yeah.
Sidhu, let's discuss one more thing. Ecosystem of products. Nowadays, I'm seeing that a lot in the fintech. So, for example, let's take crypto.com. Okay. Crypto.com gives me multiple things. It lets me, like, let's say, buy NFTs. It gives me a credit card that I can use, etc. Okay. Let's take Robinhood scenario as well. So, they also have a card that you can use. They let you invest in stocks. They let you invest in I think they give a debit card if I'm not wrong, and they also have what is that? Robinhood, not news. They send some kind of news feed or something
Yeah,
like that to you every
Robinhood
day.
Snacks.
Robinhood
Robinhood
snacks,
Snacks.
yes.
Kind of a newsletter where they give tidbits about the market.
How do you think these are influencing the product in their growth and the strategy?
Yeah. So, looking at Robinhood, I feel that sometimes they are like stretching it too much by concentrating on too many different things. But yeah, so I think the main features are trading, and they do get into options, spreads, and all of that stuff. And they have cash management, a debit card where you can actually store your money and use that for trades and all of that stuff. So what I feel is they're struggling now to retain their users and also increase their revenue. So they are, I think, looking for more revenue streams on how to increase the revenue and all of that stuff in the app itself. Looks like their cash management feature hasn't reached out to the number of people it should have, because I think normally the typical average savings account has $8,000 or something like that. So they were actually trying to tap into that on the whole US user base, but they weren't able to basically do that and generate enough revenue, because that's basically, so when you look at that use case, right, banks can lend the money 7 times to others. So what Robinhood could do is, the more cash it has, it could lend it for margin trading and they could earn interest on that. But looks like that feature is not that popular anymore, and they're not generating the enough revenue there.
But one interesting, at least what I thought when they introduced that feature, is maybe it's making the customers keep the money more into Robinhood, because one of the pain points in Robinhood that at least I faced in the past is if you don't have the gold account. Again, it's a fee that customer pays. So if a customer is not really keen on it, it could take few days for you to get the money. And what typically happens is because of that, maybe people might not be keeping money into that. Okay, I got some money, I'm just going to withdraw because someone else is giving me an interest. Robinhood is not giving me anything. Maybe it's making customers keep money, more money than what they were doing in the past.
Yeah, that's an interesting take, right? I think that's what people should do, right? Save more than. But also, I see this, right? Like, uh, there is also a drawback on the Robinhood side where the more a person does trades, the more revenue Robinhood generates. So that's basically encouraging them to make users do more trading. But on a financial side, right? For me, the philosophy which I believe is the less you trade, the more the money increases, right? Stay more time in the market rather than doing day trading and all of that stuff. But if they have to increase their revenue, they have to encourage people to trade more. So somehow that's a mismatch. But I'm still using the product because I love the UI and the ease of use and all of that stuff.
Got it. Nice. Actually, maybe let's nail down on one of the things, right? So what I think typically is Robinhood is an app for someone who is an early investor, someone who, let me rephrase, someone who's not very close to stocks or anything like that. I believe Robinhood is an app for them. The reason for that is if I'm more knowledgeable about the apps, like you're telling, hey, let's say I'm a long-term investor. Okay, what you typically do is, like, let's say, buy something and keep it. Or maybe if you're very knowledgeable, probably you'll have a financial advisor who could be maintaining your portfolio. But someone who's in the early stages of their career, don't want to invest too much, don't want to lose too much, etc., they might be playing around with Robinhood. What do you think of that?
Yeah, that's also an interesting place to be at, right? So that's definitely there was a gap before. That's where Robinhood came in to create a product for this kind of users. But the problem with that is, uh, what is the retention, right? Like, how can you have higher retention when you have these people who come in to learn things, and once they graduate to the next level, they maybe move to Charles Schwab or a bigger brokerage, which lets you invest in things and has much more offerings like ETFs, not ETFs, but mutual funds, and they have robo investing and all of that stuff, right? So I think that's also a typical problem for Robinhood, where the average investment account is around 5,000, but the bigger brokerages, the average investment account varies from 100,000 to 300,000, 400,000, where they basically people invest that money and they use robo investors or portfolio managers to grab that fees, and they maintain that revenue. But the spot where Robinhood is, I feel that they have to somehow retain these investors and keep increasing that revenue, because this is a really good offering which they have.
Got it. That actually takes us to a nice topic, right? So where do you think the Robinhood should go to? Um, maybe I can start. Let me give a couple of thoughts and then maybe I'll give it to you. So if I think of myself as a customer, and if I look at personal finance, right? The way I'm struggling right now is multiple things. Like, I don't know what to do, first of all. Okay. It could be stocks, it could be real estate, it could be cryptocurrency. There are like 100 things in the world. Okay. Maybe getting some kind of guidance. Okay. To say, let's say I'm starting to invest, and if Robin could give me some kind of financial advisors or someone who can actually personalize that experience for me, I think that would make me invest more. Okay. Or that would make me invest in the right way. Okay. That is one thing that I could think of. Any thoughts from your side?
Yeah, I think that's a good thought, Funny. So I think that will also help people stick with their portfolio, right? Like where so now the user group is more of trying it out. I think they go with the FOMO, invest. People are there for short term; they want to earn money, but end of the day they realize after 6 months that's not how stocks work. You have to spend more time, and they either try to stay there long term or levitate to other you know at least other brokerages or offerings which you have. But what I feel is maybe instead of having a personalized portfolio manager and all of that stuff, the other popular thing which is been doing circles in the financial markets is this robo investing, right? So where you basically select your risk tolerance level and all of that stuff, and it invests in uh, kind of mutual uh, uh, funds, right? So I actually have another app which I use called Wealthfront. So what I do is I tell it to basically deduct a specific amount every month, and I say this is my risk level, and it invests my stocks into the US stock market, international market, emerging market, and also the bond market. So it's basically balancing everything for me, doing all the investing, and also it takes care of loss harvesting for me, right? So it takes care of my taxes also. So if I would have had that feature in Robinhood, I would have had that part of my portfolio of things inside Robinhood itself. So I feel that Robinhood could tap into that market where it has robo investing and offer it to their users, because I think when people start levitating to the next user segment, right, which is more seasoned investor, more knowledgeable, and they do trading at a higher volumes, that could be an offering which when people move from this segment to other segment, they could stay with Robinhood. I think Robinhood basically is not offering the products where the user graduates to the next level. That's where I think they're losing users. I feel.
It's a good point. Actually, let's discuss a little bit more about retention, right? So, what I understand about these apps is that once you buy a stock, you can only sell within that app. Okay. For example, let's say I started using Cash App because of one or the other reason. And then, like you said, started using Stash sometime back or Webull sometime back. But, or even like M1 Finance, right? Started using these apps just to try it out. And then let's say I don't want to sell that stock. Then I'm stuck with that app. Do you think these apps should come up a feature where I can move all my stocks to one place?
Yeah, that's a really interesting piece, right? So that's I think that's also the difference between how crypto works and how stocks work. Crypto is also owning a piece of it, right? And stocks are also owning a piece of it, and that should be done, right? Because I've done the same thing. I have investments in PayPal, investments in sorry, Cash App, and all bunch of different things, and I don't want to sell them because I'll be taxed.
Yep.
And also it's not that easy for me to maintain like 10 or 12 different apps. So but I think the reason why institutions are not doing that is that like that's actually it's easy for people to move out, right? That's why they're making it wantedly difficult, right? So if I had this freedom of moving things to different apps, end of the day I would go to the best app which does everything, right? I won't be stuck with different amounts of money in different apps, right?
That's true. I mean, thinking from a customer, at least that's a pain point because
That's a pain point. Yeah, that's right.
we might have to pay fees for like multiple apps, right? Like let's say you're using Robinhood Gold, and I'm sure Wealthfront also has some kind of fee, right? Acorns has a fee, so we might end up paying fees for like multiple apps for doing the exact same thing.
Yeah. Also, one interesting thing, Fanny. So we have maybe talked about the user journey, the journey of an investor, right? So he's maybe a retail investor, a nuanced investor. So that could be where he enters with Robinhood, Webull, and that kind of things. Once he graduates to the next level, where he's a seasoned investor, he might go into Wealthfront, some kind of robo investing, and all of that stuff. When I'm a mature investor, right, I want to be with this big brokerages because I might be having a net worth or a portfolio of 1 million or more, right? But the limitation with Robinhood and other apps like this, I think they don't only have an FDIC insurance of 100K or something. If my portfolio keeps increasing, I don't have an incentive to keep my money in that specific apps. So that's also a problem. I think these smaller apps have to solve to kind of increase retention.
Important.
So one other thing is, I think this social finance is also a trend which is which is emerging these days, where as I said, right, Webull shows all the different tweets, all the different things which people are talking about for that specific stock. And also, I think Yahoo Finance captures all this information, where you can actually go into Yahoo Finance, type Apple, and see how what people are commenting and what the sentiment is. So somehow, if apps would be able to integrate that sentiment into their ecosystem, that will help people decide on what to buy or not. Because I think end of the day, maybe for short-term traders, sentiment is also a big thing which carries the stock price up and down, right?
Makes sense. Yeah, that's also interesting.
Yeah, and
Um,
also the downsides for that would be giving so much power to a large segment of people, where things like GameStop and all of that could
yeah,
happen. Yeah.
that's true. That's true.
Yeah, maybe should we just look at the user journey of an investor, right? Like, how did Robinhood simplify all of these things? Because I think there have been a lot of different apps that are emerging in the growing markets, upcoming markets like India and all, which are using the same strategy to kind of help people invest more and all of that stuff. So, should we just go through that?
Yeah, definitely.
Sure. So I think when you look at a typical investor, right, the first biggest hurdle or the friction point is filling out the application. I think Robinhood uses like 3 or 4 steps while you do that. So that's a space which it simplifies things. And the next segment is on what to buy, right? So I think that's also a piece where people need help with, where uh, Robinhood snacks, and Robinhood gives curated list of the FANG stocks and all of that stuff where you can invest towards. And I think it also has charts like top 100 tech stocks, top 100 medical stocks, and all of that stuff which you can search for. Uh, and I think even the next piece is adding money, where it helps you connect to banks and add money in a much easier way. You could do after hour trading when you're not working, and all of that stuff. So I think these are all the resistance points which basically Robinhood solves for. Withdrawing the money is also the same, I guess.
Yep. That also takes few days. Yeah. Like
Yeah,
when you have
that's
to
right.
withdraw money, it takes like anywhere between like 3 to 5 business days. In this day and age, right? Taking 3 days to transfer money is crazy.
Yeah, and also
Um,
they're mobile first, right? So that's also an advantage for Robinhood.
that's correct. Yep. Sounds good. I can add few things too. Like when I think about Robinhood, right? It reduces that friction that like you're talking about. I can do anywhere between like $1 to like thousands of dollars without any kind of fees, and I can track it at a real time on how that's going. I don't have to have any kind of hassle of actually talking to a person. I know that was a pain point when I remember like my parents doing investing, right? They have to literally speak to someone to do any kind of investing. Removes all of that friction and puts me at ease as well. Like it gives me details about like what percentage of the customers think we should buy, what percentage of customers think that we should sell it or hold it, etc. That gives me some perception. Okay, it went down right now, but maybe I should keep it. People like me are thinking in the same way to hold it. Um, and one other thing that I was also really intrigued about is uh, loans based on stocks. I'm forgetting what is
Yeah.
the right word for that, but Robinhood does that as well, right? So if an investor is keeping like let's say thousands of dollars on their stocks, which is basically sitting there, they can't use that money at all. So rather than them selling those stocks, they can get a loan on top of it, use that money for something else. That's a good thing for both Robinhood and the customer. That the customer can use that money to do something else, and Robinhood also earns some interest.
Yeah, I think that'll also help them, yeah, increase their retention, right? So basically, you are not getting out of the platform because you are tied up with all of these things, right? So that's also a really interesting feature.
Yep.
Yeah, let's see. So I feel that social finance is one piece, and also maybe robo investing is another piece, and features like this, which can keep people inside the stock, would increase the retention. And as he's right, Robinhood would add more features and make it more and more easier for us to trade more things, right? They could enter into a lot of different financial asset classes, right? There could be painting, there could be even real estate investing, and all of these asset classes. So they definitely have a good market, but let's see how the journey is as they go.
Yeah, that's true. The divesting part could be like really huge. Yep. Yeah. That's awesome, Sidhu. Great
Okay,
conversation.
perfect. Yeah, thanks, Funny.
Thank you. See you.